My name's Jess, Jessica Price. I'm the Chief of Care here at Tanganyika Wildlife Park.
Hello, I'm John Rossi. I'm a touring drummer with a passion for animal conservation. When I'm on the road, I spend as much time as possible visiting zoos, aquariums, and conservation organizations. Now, I want to share those places with you. I'll be talking to keepers, vets, conservationists, anyone who can help me in my mission of connecting my people to animals through their people. Join me on my Rossifari. Hi, hello, how are you? Welcome to a very special episode of the Rossifari podcast. So y'all, if you've been following my adventures on socials or even just, on my various episodes, you know that I recently went to Tanganyika Wildlife Park out in Kansas, and I spent 3 glorious days just getting to do all the cool stuff at this incredibly unique zoological facility. And this is going to be the first of 4 episodes from Tanganyika, looking at things from all different angles. But I do want to have a bit of a programming note here, which is that I have come to learn that if I do more than maybe 2 episodes in a row from a facility, I think people burn out on the facility a little bit, which personally is weird to me because honestly, I am extra careful to make sure that those episodes are all wildly different. I don't want to have them be too repetitive, but okay. I have seen the numbers, and it's not a huge change, but so what we're going to do is we are going to mix up our next bunch of episodes. So on this trip, I went to Tanganyika and Sedgwick County Zoo and Sunset Zoo and Kansas City and Henry Dorley and just all over the place. And so I'm going to go out of chronological order, and I'm going to share bits and bobs from all of those different places with you. And then, drop another Tanganyika here and there and drop maybe the second Sedgwick County well after the first one and stuff, and just see if we can't, mix it up a little bit, see how that goes. So I would love your feedback on all of that, but enough about that. We are getting into a wonderful conversation with Jessica Price of Tanganyika. And Jess is basically the curator of collections there. They have their own special title, but you'll get to hear more about that. And that's actually something that's really common at Tanganyika and something that I really like there. You'll hear about that more in this episode and in other episodes. But this one is just a lot of fun, and it's a lot of animal goodness. We talk about honey badgers and rhinos and giraffes and chimpanzees, and they don't even have chimps at Tanganyika, but we talk about them anyway. And we talk about the new baby clouded leopard that Tanganyika actually just announced on their socials this week, and some other cool primates and just all kinds of stuff. I think this episode will give you a really good start to understand what sets Tanganyika apart. Now, for my diehard listeners, I need to explain something to you. So, it is pretty common knowledge that, some guests are very chatty and very open about stuff, and I let them do most of the talking. And then some guests are very happy to be here, but are also a little reticent, a little, less comfortable chatting on a podcast. And I tend to fill a lot of the space on those podcasts. Well, for any of my normal listeners, you will think that this is one of those episodes because I talk a lot in this one. But the truth is, Jess was an incredible guest and could have filled the entire podcast on her own, but I was so excited about everything I was experiencing at Tanganyika that I couldn't shut my big stupid mouth. So yeah, this episode has a lot of back and forth, but it's for a really great reason. So with all of that said, couple quick reminders: make sure you hit subscribe so you don't miss any of these interview episodes or any of my Friday Zoo News episodes. Make sure you're following along on the socials at Rossifari, on TikTok at Rossifari Pod, and there's a Patreon if you want to support the pod, patreon.com/Rossifari. And with all of that said, let's get to my interview with Jess Price of Tanganyika Wildlife Park.
responsible for overseeing the care team here at the park and the day-to-day care of the animals. And yeah.
Cool. Very good. So that is an interesting title, Chief of Care.
It is.
Not one I think I've heard before. And so what does that mean?
I'm the general curator of the collection. To put it into more common zoo terms, Chief of Care is a general curator here at Tanganyika.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yes.
That's cool. So that sounds like a pretty big title. I'm guessing that you've had some experience, coming up to that point in your career. So what has your history been like?
My history has been pretty awesome. I was very fortunate at a young age to get into some volunteer programs, even in high school. So back in the 90s, when programs were a little bit more loose and allowed for more of those opportunities, I was very fortunate to get into a program early. So started volunteering in high school and college. This program I went to, I graduated from Friends University here in Wichita from the zoo science program. And so I was able to get a job at the zoo there. So I've worked in AZA facilities, ZA facilities, managed a nonprofit exotic animal rescue sanctuary up in Indiana for 4 years, a similar position to what I have now. So I did that for a while. And then I took quite a lengthy break to be a stay-at-home mom. We have 3 kids and was looking at career options for going back to work and weighing those and what I wanted to do, and really missed being in this field. And so I was able to get a job here at Tanganyika as a keeper, and over the last 5 years here at the park have changed roles many times and have ultimately landed in this one, which I'm very thankful for.
Nice. Very cool. And if people are interested in hearing more of that mothering story, you were an early guest on the Mothering Wildlife podcast.
I was. Nice. I got a chance to speak with Elizabeth, and that was really awesome. And I'm excited that she is kind of getting that started again and launching some new episodes. So that was really awesome for me to be able to share my journey and break from the field and how I was able to get back into it, and thankful for the park for giving me that opportunity to be able to get back into my career field.
Yeah, that's very cool. So if you are interested in that side of things, go check out the Mothering Wildlife podcast. But getting back to our situation here, so there's so much to talk about at Tanganyika. This place is a very different facility than any I have been to. And I know y'all kind of pride yourselves on that.
Yes.
So do you want to talk about that and what makes this place different?
Yeah, for sure. So obviously I've worked at bigger facilities, nonprofit, smaller, and in all the different aspects in the zoo or captive animal management, so to speak. And Tanganyika is so unique, as you said. It's a family atmosphere. We're very focused on culture, smaller collection, but yet a bigger collection and a very diverse collection. I've gotten to work with a lot of species here at the park that I had not worked with before. So the collection was really a draw and an intrigue for me. As well as we're sitting out here looking over our cheetah breeding complex.
This is so ridiculous. We are in the house that we are staying in right now. And if I turn left, there are 2 cheetahs that I can see immediately there, which is why we're recording in this room.
Yeah. Yes. Amazing backdrop as we talk here. So the collection, our breeding programs are very unique. And very awesome to be a part of, and a privilege. So that aspect, I mean, it really checks a lot of boxes for me. The culture, the size of the facility, involvement, open door policies, the breeding programs, and then just our guest connections. Like I said, I was very fortunate at a young age to be given those opportunities that really, lasted a lifetime and led me to this career path. And I think that is so important for our guests, for future generations of biologists, zoologists, zookeepers, to have that, as well as for people to make that connection to want to make a difference with conservation. The things that we're able to do here at the park, you've gotten to experience some of our experiences. Making those wow moments and that connection is what's really going to impact people to make the difference and make changes that will help the animals and our planet in the long run. And so I think the amount of things that we're able to do offer just makes us so unique. And our team is just absolutely amazing. And I would put them up against anyone any day on guest engagement skills. The breeding programs that we do, we transfer a lot of animals to other zoos. We work with a lot of other facilities. And just the skill set that we have with our staff is just phenomenal. And I'm very thankful for that.
It is a really good team. I've spent a lot of time with a lot of them now.
Yes.
And one of the things that has stood out to me the most is that everyone is invested in the animals and in the training. And a lot of times when you do the cool experiences at zoos, you have kind of your interpreter who knows the facts, and that's great, and that's important, but isn't involved with the animals. They know them, they love them. I'm not in any way putting the role down. And then you have the keeper or the trainer, or whatever term you want to use, who is the animal person who maybe doesn't want to interact with the guests as much, or does, but, whatever. But here, every animal experience team member that I've spoken to does training with the animals, knows the animals. All of the keepers and trainers also have interacted in a very positive way with the guests. It is across the board. If they didn't tell us what their positions were, I couldn't tell you in any group that I've worked with here, like spent time with here, who was the quote trainer and who, because it's not how it works here. And I think that adds such a cool layer to the level of care that the people have and their excitement for it. We did so many experiences, but one of them was the cheetah behind the scenes. And we got picked up by, animal care, and the level of excitement was so over the top because she knew the animals. She cared about the animals. And then when we got there, she was telling the stories about her time with these animals. And when they went in and did the run, they were both in and they were deciding the trainer that we met up with and the guest experience person who's going to do what part of this experience. And it was just such a different thing than I've encountered before. And the knowledge, and passion has been really cool to see. And it's been universal. We've done way too many experiences.
There's never too many.
But it has been universal, every single person. Sometimes other people, we were doing the Okapi behind the scenes, and other people from the staff just kind of walked over and also started sharing, and it's such a different vibe than other places.
We are Team Tanganyika. Yes, we are care team, we're maintenance team, we have our guest engagement team, but we are one team, and we've really worked on clock builder kind of philosophy of if one person isn't here, we don't want the train to stop moving. No, we don't have levels of primaries or things like that here, like maybe some other zoos have. And so we've really worked hard to get our staff to be able to do all things. And I think that really helps too with the animals as well, getting them versed in different trainers, and they don't get so into the habit of different things and one person doing one thing. Anybody can really step in and do it if they have the relationship built with that animal. So it is very different than a lot of other places that I've worked, but it's awesome to see that it's working. It works well for us. And it's really cool for you to be able to see all of those things and give me that feedback. Again, I'm so proud of them. They've done an excellent job. That team is fairly new. We built the animal experience team about 2 years ago. And like you said, even our keepers are able to do both aspects of it as well. So it hasn't been an easy road building all of that for sure. And there's been struggles, and we've, learned and gone again with different things, but it's really made us be able to do the awesome programs. And yes, it's the animal experiences and the animals themselves, but it's also our staff that make it. And we hear that over and over and over again. And it's awesome.
Yeah, no, it really is. Now, one thing that so this is my first time here. And when Tanganyika reached out and invited Zoe and I out, y'all are ZAA accredited, so I knew we were good there. But I did talk to some people just because, and I will say, this invitation was completely that. A lot of times influencers or media or whatever will sign a contract that say, I will give you 3 positive thises and 2 positive that, and you'll get a podcast where I praise your butts.
Right.
There was none of that. It was come out and check it out. And that was the entire thing. I could literally never post about it and not get in quote trouble. You know what I mean? Instead, I'm posting about it constantly because it's fantastic. And I think that was the hope with, obviously,
yes.
But by not making it a transactional thing, I really did feel like I would be comfortable. I'm not beholden to Tanganyika, which
right.
I thought was very special. And the one thing that some people, when I first asked about, different people's opinions, everything was very positive, except there were a few people who hadn't been here who said that the focus on animal experiences, they were just a little curious about the suggestion was when you're out there, just keep an eye on how many of these are they doing a day? And are they shoving, people down animals' throats and stuff?
Right.
And I can officially say the answer is no. It is all choice-based. I know that even in the otter experience in particular, we got to meet all 3, but oftentimes one of them doesn't want to come. And that is completely allowed and completely fine. And if an animal doesn't want to interact with you, that's fine. You don't get a picture, whatever. But can you go into details about some of the strategies that Tanganyika is using to make sure that even though it's an experiential facility, the animals are still in control of their own lives as much as you can be in human care?
Sure. So yes, absolutely. What you said is 100% true. We want to focus on this is choice-based. It's all positive. If the animal doesn't want to participate, they don't. We have other options in place to offer things to guests as a secondary option. If that animal doesn't participate, we can offer different type of experience. We can give them a refund. We can reschedule. So on the business logistical side, those are the things that we offer. But we also offer safe places or places where they can go in these experiences where the guests aren't allowed to go, where the animal has the cue or the choice to tell us, hey, I'm not participating, like you mentioned with the otters. And so we also have Dr. Sam, I think you'll be talking to her. She's our curator of research and welfare here at Tanganyika. We have a welfare program, and animals that are used in the experiences and ambassador programs have different welfare schedules than all of the animals at the park, so that those are evaluated more on a regular basis to make sure that we're meeting those goals. We have a detailed record system that we keep in place where we are constantly evaluating and measuring those things. And Sam's got some research projects going to make sure that we are doing those studies. We work with CSU interns. We have them come every summer from Colorado to do research programs with our experiences and our encounters. And so that's been cool to see some of that coming back and the changes that we've made there. So lots of things in place to make sure that we are meeting the best well for the animals, that everything is positive, because it is unique what we do. And we do go against the grain a little bit, which I think until people come here and see it, it's different. So different isn't necessarily wrong or bad. It's just different than what other facilities have done. And we are doing it well, and doing a good job both for that wow moment, that guest interaction, but as well as for the animal welfare and well-being. So I think that is our goal, like with the invitation of having you come see it. We would love to show you what we're doing. We would love to teach you about the things, because I think as an industry whole, it's different than what a lot of other places do. And we feel like we are doing a really good job with it. So yeah, come and see what we're doing.
Yeah, I think the balancing of having it be so experiential, but also limiting, the amount of people that can do things, limiting the number of experiences a day.
Yes. And you brought that up earlier. Sorry, I didn't touch on that, but we do have limited amounts of time that the animal can do the experience. We have a schedule. We take animals off if there's health concerns, if there's behavioral concerns, maybe they've lost their mate or something has come up like that. So we take all of that into consideration as well, and limit the number of people that can do the experiences. It's not a free for all. So there are those in place as well. So thank you for
of course.
That.
Yeah. I think that's very important. It's funny. I've been doing this podcast for close to 5 years now. And there's a small but not insignificant number of us, and I'm one of these us's, that really fell in love with animals because of an animal experience that should not be allowed. Okay. Myself and Katie Prop, who is a regular guest on here and works with Penguins International and stuff, we both rode elephants in weird community park things. I don't know. I was like 4 or 5. So was she. So we don't know what the situation was, but I guarantee you it was not okay. You should not be able to go to the Central Park in Mechanicsburg Borough and ride an elephant. However, I don't think I'd be doing what I did today if I hadn't done that. So I actually think that finding the most ethical way and the most helpful way to do that is something that's really important.
It is.
And I have to tell you a story. Okay. It's supposed to be an interview about you.
No.
I'm going to tell you my story.
I love stories.
So we did penguin swim 2 days ago. And holy cow, y'all. That was awesome. I volunteer with penguins. I have been in the water in a wetsuit with penguins cleaning before, but not having to clean and just getting to focus on the penguins, even having done that in a capacity, it still blew me away. It was so cool. And just to clarify, you don't swim with the penguins. They swim around you.
Yes,
you stand with the penguins.
Yes,
just to clarify.
You basically stand in the water and they get to be penguins around you.
Yes. And I did want to clarify that for my listeners, just because I don't know that swimming with penguins, like the general public, would be the best idea. Correct. So just wanted to clarify. It's the penguins that do the swim.
Yeah, and there's lots of videos on our social media that show that.
And it is truly very well done. And knowing penguins like I do, working with them or volunteering with them anyway, they were so happy and so content, and so it was lovely. Yes. But and of course they also had the choice whether to get in or not. But
correct.
There was a little boy, and he was so excited, and he could not shut up, as little boys and adult podcasters often cannot.
Yeah.
And he was the only kid in the group, and his mom kept apologizing. And like, part of me gets it, because is a rambling child sometimes annoying? Yes. And were the rest of us rambling? No. Although I think internally we were. Yeah. We were going to swim with penguins.
Yes.
Right? And finally, he kept talking to me at one point, and she turned, she said, "I'm so sorry." And I was like, and she was like, "Hey, honey, don't." I was like, "Don't be sorry. Let him talk. Why do you think I have a podcast? All I do is sit and talk about animals for as long as I can." And I was thinking to myself, I didn't say this because I didn't want to be, too weird, but I kept asking him questions then too, because I was like, this is our next penguin researcher. Yes. This kid met generation. A penguin chick earlier today and is going to swim with penguins today, and is going to have a towel that he has that as he grows up, he will constantly be reminded as he towels off, I swam with penguins at Tanganyika, Mm-hmm. And that matters.
It does.
And the fact that he was so excited, I get the mom. I am a parent, and are there times that I want to be like, Miles, too much when we're around other people? Yes, but I also never do that when he's around me, even when I have a throbbing headache, because I want him to be passionate about things, and I try not to do it around other people. So I'm not saying this in a negative way for the mom, but just seeing this kid so excited that he could not shut up, and talking and sharing penguin facts and learning, and then repeating them back. And I was like, that's how you learn. Like, this is fantastic.
This is amazing.
Even in a moment where I would have loved just silence and just bird time, it was so cool. I was so excited. And then yesterday, so that was 2 days ago, yesterday we were in VIP getting ready for another experience when there was another penguin swim happening, and there was another little girl, and she just kept going, penguins, penguins, penguins. She was so little. And I was just like, this happened. This is every day. Every day kids are coming here and are being inspired. And that's our next generation of keepers and trainers and conservationists and podcast hosts and whatever else.
Yes.
It was so cool to see.
It's amazing to see. I mean, that's why we're all here. We had, whether it was legitimate or ethical or whatever, like you said, we've all had that experience. I mean, mine was swimming with dolphins on a family vacation in Florida when I was, 10 or 11, that started me down this path. And then my mom pestering the local zoo about their volunteer program and getting to work with the primate keeper and sea lion keeper there at that zoo. And, that started it all of us have that story. And so the fact that we're able to offer that to this next generation and our kids' ages generation, and to make those lasting impacts and wow moments. Our goal for over the next 10 years is to get those 1 million wow moments in a year with those guests, so that we can continue to inspire the stewardship of animals.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's very cool. All right. So we have talked a lot about big picture ideas,
Yes.
but I get yelled at if I don't talk animal enough on my podcast, because I can get distracted. So since you're the curator, we're going to talk about some species. And the first thing I need to talk about are my favorite animals here.
Okay.
And they are not animals that you can do an experience with. But you need to tell me about your absolutely goofy honey badger pair.
Our honey badger pair, Desi and Don Juan, they are pretty awesome. You can't interact with them.
No, I want to though.
Yeah, they're really cool. They're a lot of fun to work with. They're constantly busy. Enrichment and training for them. The team has done a great job with training and enrichment with them. And that's been really fun to see. So I don't have any cool facts about them, or any funny stories. I have not worked with them one-on-one. When I started here at the park, I was with the primates mostly. So I don't have any specific unique stories. We might have to find Ben for those.
Oh, no, I'm just going to share them because I've already asked all the keepers.
Okay, well, there you go. You tell me.
So I'm just going to tell you because they're such cool animals. I want this out there.
Yes.
So my favorite 2 things that I have learned about them. First of all, Don Juan, the male, is named Don Juan. And Don Juan is the ultimate, romantic.
Yes.
Don Juan cannot figure out how to be romantic.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
And it makes me so happy.
Yep.
And having spent time over there, he's just the biggest goober.
Yes, he is.
He and Desi were curled up napping together. It was very cute when we were over there. And then he stood up, squeezed under a log that he very easily could have walked around, came right in front of us, laid on his side, and just started kicking his whatever cedar or whatever is in there, substrate, whatever, just kicking and flailing, but not it wasn't like a seizure or anything. It was a very controlled thing. And he was so happy, but I have no idea what he was doing. This is not a common behavior of honey badgers.
Correct.
He was just being a total idiot.
Yep.
And then stood up, looked surprised, like he just realized what he was doing, went back under the log that he could have gone around and curled right back up. And I was like, dude, you are such a goober.
Yeah.
He's just a mess in the best way.
Living his best life. Yeah, no, so he has not figured out his job.
Nope.
Certainly has not. So he does not live up to his name.
But to me, that's not even the funnier of the two, because Desi is a much more controlled, much more normal honey badger. But, do you know what she carries with her pretty much all the time? Do you know about her little
I don't know that I have heard this from my team.
I'm so excited to share this with you.
Oh, good. I can't wait.
Both days that we've been here, and like I said, we talked to a keeper, and it's a very common thing. She gets a piece of grass, and she carries it constantly. It's in her mouth or in her paws. Yes. And it's her emotional support grass.
Yes.
She literally
it's her fidget toy.
Yes, it is. She literally just has it with her.
I did know that.
It is the cutest thing. And even when she's doing stuff, it's just always there.
It's always there.
It is the cutest thing I have ever seen. And she hides it sometimes and then pops it back up. And it's a whole thing with her.
Yes, I did. Yeah. Now that you mentioned that, I do. I have seen, and I've seen many pictures of her with that. It is really coming down out there. We've got a nice little Kansas storm happening here.
Yeah, we do.
But yes, it's funny. And, animal behavior, and of course, being a parent, I can relate a lot of things from my children's behavior to animal behavior. And I think that it's one of those things that's funny how we all have our quirks or our one thing or our fidget or emotional support things. And she definitely has that with her grass.
It is so amazing. And also the other thing is anthropomorphism sometimes is good, sometimes it's helpful,
Correct.
Sometimes it's problematic.
Yes.
This is probably on the problematic side, but I saw it and it made me happy, so I don't care.
Yeah.
So Don Juan did that whole thing I just described.
Yes.
And then went back and curled back up with her. And she literally threw her head back It looked like she was rolling her eyes. And then she grabbed her emotional support grass that was in her hands and shoved it in her mouth and just like laid her head back like, oh my God, what is this man? What is this thing? And I don't think that's what was actually going through her mind, but it was
if you could caption this.
Funny. Yeah.
And caption this with married life.
Yes, exactly. And just knowing that he's such a mess with that kind of thing anyway. Yeah. And she was just like, oh my gosh. Yeah. Okay. And it was, again, I know that's probably not what a Rattel was actually thinking.
Correct.
But in the moment, I was like, this just makes sense. This is why they are now, and especially Desi, is my favorite animal at the zoo, despite not being able to interact with them.
Nice.
You know, it's amazing.
Yeah. Well, just watching their behavior and having those experiences and getting to watch that is also impactful for that particular species that is more active. Now, obviously, some just go lay in the corner of their habitat, but they are very fun to watch, and you wonder what's going on in their mind.
In Don Juan's case, I don't think anything.
Probably not.
Blank slate.
Probably not.
So tell me about maybe one or two of your favorite species here.
Oh, goodness. It's like picking your favorite child when I get asked.
Oh, that's the next question. Which one of your three is
Which one is my favorite child? Well, I have two boys and a girl, and the girl's the youngest. So
okay.
I think you can answer that one for yourself.
I know three people that won't be listening to this episode.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to get in trouble for that if they listen. Tigers have always been one of my favorites, close to my heart. I've worked with a lot. I've gotten to, unfortunately, rescue some out of some pretty terrible situations due to the pet trade. But tigers have always been one of my favorite species. I have really enjoyed working with the hoofstock animals, and I didn't think that would be something. Big cats and primates, marine mammals have always been my draw. And so not a lot of hoofstock experience prior to coming to Tanganyika. And I have, with our experiences and our training and some of our husbandry programs, been able to be more hands-on and help with some of those things. And so I've learned a lot. And so that has really, really taken me by surprise at how much I've enjoyed that. Our bongos have
bongos
weaseled
so
their
cool.
way into my heart for sure. Obviously our rhinos, giraffe, but.
So I'm not going to lie, when I got my itinerary and I saw that one of our experiences was the giraffe and rhino experience, I was like, cool. Like, I'm never going to turn down hanging out with any animal.
Right.
But I've met 40,000 giraffe and, 30,000 rhinos. And it's just a very common thing. I whatever.
You get to do,
and they're hoofstock. They're going to stand there, whatever. It was one of my favorite experiences of both days. And in part because of a giraffe that I got to spend some time with there that was named, hold please.
We only have a few to remember their names.
Sinai.
So, okay.
After we finished feeding the giraffes back there, Sinai came up to me and I was like, oh, no more food. We're all out. And she just stuck her head down and came right up to my face. And I'm so glad Zoe captured this in photos because
was that the pictures with her?
Yep.
Okay, I saw those.
I did not even think about social media or Rossifari or anything. She was just sniffing me. And so I sniffed her back because, how often do you get to try and smell what a giraffe smells like? I don't know. It seemed like the right thing to do. And we hung there for probably not that long, but it felt like a solid, forever, and it was so beautiful. And one thing I always love is when you have an animal interaction without food. Mm-hmm. It's always cool. I get that food is, reinforcing, and that's great. Mm-hmm. And honestly, there are some animals who just people time is reinforcing. So even that's not that surprising, but we just stared into each other's eyes and bonded. And I wanted to hug her. You don't hug a giraffe.
Right.
I know this. But
not recommended.
And I would never feel that way, with giraffe. Normally, I know that's not a fit, but it felt like I could have. And again, not going to, want to be super clear on that,
right.
Nor would have been allowed to.
Right.
But it was just this weird personal moment of we're not reinforcing, we're not doing anything. We're just hanging out. Something about me interests you. Everything about you interests me.
Right.
And we're friends now. And it was so beautiful. And as a guy who gets to do this stuff all the time, especially giraffe feedings. You know, even when I'm not talking about giraffe, at most facilities, they're still like, oh, and we do a feeding. You want to toss a couple leaves? I'm like, yeah, I'm never going to say no. We did a giraffe feeding at our wedding. You know,
Right.
and like whatever, but it was such a moment, and it still sticks. I'm getting emotional talking about
Yeah,
it
I
right
can
now.
tell looking at your face.
It's
You're going to make me
amazing.
tear up.
Yeah, right. And it's like it's amazing. And then the rhinos were amazing. So talk about your giraffe and rhinos a little bit.
So we have 20 giraffe here at Tanganyika, and we have two different herds right now. So one is in our Africa Asia barn that you can see out on exhibit, and they're the giraffe that you interact with for the feeding station and behind the scenes. And then we have our new area that is currently under construction. So we have a smaller giraffe herd out at what we call our safari barn, and that's going to be part of our new safari park expansion over the next couple of years. I think we are due to have several more calves in the next year born. So we have a very successful breeding program. I don't have the updated statistics or numbers with me, so this is just throwing a dart at the wall, but I think we're in the 70s as far as how many baby giraffe have been born here at Tanganyika since the 80s. We always go back and forth with Cheyenne Mountain Zoo about who has the largest giraffe herd in the country. And so we tend to be in the high teens to low 20s back and forth with our herd. But it's awesome what our team does. We've been able to do some really cool training things, hoof care, shoot training, the different things that we're able to do with them, have especially more things in the last year as we've beefed up some of our training programs. Rhinos, we have the white rhinos, and then we have the greater one-horn rhinos. We have Monica, our female rhino here at Tanganyika, was conceived via artificial insemination. And so we had our first rhino calf born here at the park. It was 2 years ago. And MJ left for Michigan earlier this month to go be a big rhino at Boulder Ridge, another ZAA facility. So that was exciting to be at the park here for the first rhino that was born. So that was exciting. And then we have our white rhinos are over at our safari barn, which you can see on our behind the scenes experience. So they're like little puppy dogs. Again, not to compare and anthropomorphize things, but they love food. They love scratches. They're really cool. We've been able to participate in some epigenetic studies with some blood draw training that the team has done with them. So that's been fun to contribute to as well. So I could go on and on, lots of cool things with each of the species that we're able to do and work with. So
let's talk some individuals. We talked about the greater one horns a little bit.
Yeah.
And Monica loves her pool so much, and will occasionally skip feedings.
Yes, loves her
there.
pool. Loves her pool.
Which again, that's another one of those moments where, everyone who's at the park wants to do a rhino feeding. It's one of the things that they can do. It's for a very limited time, but you can line up and you can do the thing. And she just sat in her pool one day.
Yep.
And there was a whole line. Yep. And she did not care, and thus the trainers did not care. They were great. They actually turned it into a whole information session.
Keeper talk,
it was very cute.
Yeah.
But, a whole bunch of people that wanted to feed rhinos didn't get to, and I loved seeing that. It was one of my first things that I saw here, and I was just good.
She doesn't want to get out of her pool. She doesn't have to.
Yeah.
Sometimes it turns into a mud bath demo. She gets a bath instead. Mm-hmm. She loves her pool.
Yeah.
Loves her pool.
But so let's talk about the office characters that live here.
Yes.
So talk some personality stuff about the white rhinos, who are all named after office characters.
Sure. So I'm gonna let you put Sierra on the spot a little bit about the rhinos, because with the team that works with them every day, again, they probably have some more quirks. But yes, our white rhino group is named after the office characters. So Dwight is our male. And they're just big puppy dogs. They love scratches. They got some Christmas trees over the winter season, and they just loved them. The keepers hung them up in their outdoor patios, and it was in Kansas. We have some nicer, warmer days in the wintertime, and so that was really fun with enrichment for them. But yeah, they've been really fun to work with, and the guests just love them. I love the experience that we're able to do with them, again, in a safe manner, and the rhinos enjoy it, and they get their alfalfa and really enjoy it. But they're a lot of fun. I know the keepers probably have a lot more stories, so I would ask Cedar about that when you meet with her. But yeah, I can tell you about a certain giraffe that we have that is my four-legged child.
Please do, yes.
So we had a giraffe calf born last summer, and ended up mom not wanting to take care of him. So we had to go ahead and step in and help ensure his survival. And so we bottle fed our first, for all of us currently on the staff, our first bottle raised giraffe. And so that was quite an experience for us. As a team. And so he's almost completely weaned. He's getting ready to go to his new home in the next month or so. And so that's been an amazing experience to learn and trial and error and do those different things. And it's been fun to watch him get integrated back into the herd and be outside and those things. Just considering from where we were last summer. So his name is Otto, and he's had some leg issues when he was first born. And so our keepers named him after the character from the Robin Hood cartoon that had the dog that had the cast on the leg from the Disney movie. And so that he had to have his leg cast for about 10 days after he was born because his legs weren't quite straight. And so everything's fine. He's good to go. Like program of vet care for him was fine. And he doesn't have any issues now, but yeah, that's how he got his name. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that. How do you bottle feed a 6 foot tall baby?
Very, very carefully. So we first tried supplementing him while he was still with mom, bucket, trying to feed trough that way, getting in the stall with him, trying to get him a bottle. Did not take to it. We ended up separating him. So we actually moved him down the hallway into our part of the barn where the okapi are. And we have a smaller shift stall, squeeze stall for okapi. So it's perfect for his size. The height gave us a nice wall. We were able to get him into that area. And it took a few days of lots of TLC and patience in getting him on the bottle. And we were able to do that. And then he took to it, and we'd shift him in there for his bottle. He'd take his bottle, get to go back into the stall. And as he got bigger and stronger, and we were able to move him back down where the giraffe were and integrate him with a few and do introductions. And he was actually able to go back with his mom. And we were still bottle feeding him while he was with mom. And then, just the next steps of introducing him to the herd and the outside world and all of those things. So it was very, challenging, required a lot of patience, but it was a very good outcome in the end, all things considered. Obviously, most ideal for him to stay with mom the whole time, but wasn't able to, but we were able to get them back together. And that was really important. So
that's awesome. Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
Let's stay on the topic of babies for a second, because there are a couple other things I have seen here that have made me pretty happy. And I'm not going to immediately go to the one that you probably think I'm going to go to, but instead I'm going to ask about the baby DeBrazza's monkey.
Yes.
Oh, my gosh.
Yes.
I don't know if you saw my post from today,
I have
but
not yet.
I got the most amazing pictures of that little goober.
Oh.
So tell me about your DeBrazzas in general and about the baby. And,
sure.
Yeah.
So our DeBrazzas, we have a male and female adults. Their names are Olaf and Pew. I don't believe the team has landed on a name for this little guy yet, but they are so fun to watch. Obviously old world monkeys. I got a radio call yesterday, or I overheard a radio call about someone running around with a shirt on their head. I caught half of it. I thought they were referring to a guest, but as it turns out, it was. And then I heard the primate keeper come over the radio like, no, they got T-shirts for enrichment. And they're just putting the shirts on and taking them off and running around. They're wearing them like a cape. It's totally normal. They do that all the time. So I wish I could have been out there to see it. Unfortunately, I was in between meetings, but they are the most fun to watch. They are the most fun to watch with their enrichment. They interact the best with their enrichment. Those DeBrazza kids love chalk drawings. Like the keepers, they are one of the few primates that we do those, like, we'll, do a Christmas tree for the holidays and make a social media post or whatever, but they are one of the ones that interact the most with those. And those kids rub themselves on the chalk and then they're covered head to toe in blue. And the keepers are like, hey, they had chalk enrichment today. Now we don't give them the chalk. We draw it on the wall or on the floor. And then they like to, finger paint, and they'll do this in it. And they're so fun to watch and enrich. You could just watch them for hours, but they love their t-shirts. Love them.
That's amazing. I'm gonna show you this picture real quick because I got a few, but the one in particular, I am just so proud of it. We had a very curious little guy, and he came up pretty darn close. And look at that face.
Yes. So at one point
ridiculous.
With our DeBrazas, we had the what is the name of that new girl? So we had like Cece and Jess and Nick, and so we had a theme with the babies at one point for names off of that show. But this group has a different theme name. So like I said, I'm not sure if the teams landed on babies' names or not. Usually we let the keepers kind of vote and pick, and then it's the least favorite part of my job because then I have to pick. And sometimes I'm like, nope, try again. We're not going to post that name on social media. And they're like, you're no fun. And so like, if I had to pick one of the things I don't like doing is approving a baby name.
That's really funny. I will say that Rossifari is a great baby name for any species.
I will have to add that to our future list. Yeah. And I'm like, if that's a great name and that animal doesn't end up staying here, do you want to like not waste it, but waste it on that? And then, we have had so many animals here at the park and with our breeding programs and sending animals to other zoos. Like I have to go into animal care software and like type in the name because if it hasn't happened in the last 5 years. And then one of our keepers, he's been here for 15, 16 years. And sometimes I'm like, have you ever heard of an animal of this name here? And he can just usually remember very easily. But that's one of my least favorite jobs. So I'm like, give me 3. Tell me which one has the most votes. I'll pick it. But we've had some that I've just been like, no, we are not going to name an animal that.
That's so funny. I love that.
So I'm sure if you ask them about it, they'll have some stories.
I bet. Well, I was going to say, I would normally ask for like, what are some of those names? But actually, I think it's funnier to just let my audience fill in the blank. Y'all are mad libbing right now, and I'm here for it. So, But, and then the other baby that we absolutely have to talk about is the baby clouded leopard.
Okay.
And I got to see a feeding.
You did?
And
okay.
Oh my word, what a little cutie.
Yes.
But so tell me about that.
So he, it's a male. He was born, I think we've hit 30 days. So he was born back at the end of March. I think the keepers are so Larry and Adelaide are his parents. And I think they're vying for a name of Lemonade to like combine Larry and Adelaide.
Oh my God.
It's Adelaide's first baby.
Okay.
So she successful breeding pair for us for the first time for that breeding pair. So that was very exciting. He's up in the nursery right now on a bottle. We'll start transitioning him over to meat probably in the next 2 weeks. We have found, and SSP and AMP recommendations for cloudeds are to hand rear. They have a better success rate in human care with pairing with a mate at a younger age. Obviously, the size difference and risk of introducing cloudeds as adults is risky. So that's why we have him up in the nursery and hand rear our cloudeds here at the park. We've had a huge successful program in doing that. So he's an absolute cutie. He's a little tinier than some of our others, being first time mom and everything. But he's caught up. He's growing every day, and it's a lot of fun. This is one of the first ones I've helped with. I've been able to hand rear some other cat species, but this is the first clouded that I've helped with. Sam's been involved in the nursery in the past, and I got to help take on some more of that this year. So it's been exciting.
Nice. Very cool.
Our keepers are very excited.
Is there any personality popping out yet, or is it a little too small for that?
Still a little bit too small. He definitely has a voice. He has found his voice. The first couple of weeks he was in the nursery, like you'd come in and start getting the bottle ready and everything, and he wouldn't make a peep. And now you just walk in the door and he's screaming and ready, and he's starting to play and be more of a kitten and attack things more. So he's definitely interacting with his toys more. And, you know, they just, when you pick him up, you know, they have those ankles for climbing, and he just, you know, grabs on and trying to get him to go to the bathroom, you know, because you got to stimulate him, and he's getting his legs all twisted around your hands and the wipe and the towel and everything that you're, so it's like wrestling with a monkey that's a cat almost. But yeah, he's starting to develop personality, find his voice, and it's fun that, you know, you get the bottle in there and the ears and the tail start going. But yeah, he's pretty sweet.
That's awesome. Very cool. Is there anything else you want to talk about before we get to our last two questions?
I don't think so.
All right.
I think you've done a good job.
Well, thank you.
Covering everything.
All right. Well, then it is time for a conservation organization you'd like to give a shout out to.
Sure. One of the ones that I have enjoyed getting to learn about and help contribute to is Action for Cheetahs. We've had them come out the last couple of years to the park and do a fundraiser event here. And so that's been exciting to work with them and partner and learn more about what they're doing. And I think it's really important, the work that they're doing for cheetah conservation and the way that we've been able to help contribute to that as well. We've also done some team Zoom calls with their staff. So our whole team has been able to experience what they're doing and meet the conservationists that they work with. And Mary's been here multiple times. And it's fun this year. They're partnering more with Tanganyika's foundation. And so our director of development or chief of the foundation, Jamie, she's getting to work with Mary and got some really good ideas on how to help strengthen that partnership and what else we can do for that conservation organization. So yeah, and our staff, it's really fun to watch our staff do the experiences for that event and interact with Mary. I know they really enjoy doing it as well. So getting to participate in that, but yet bring some of that to Kansas is really special for me so that people can experience that, like you said.
Yeah, very, very cool. And then it is time. It's time now, don't you know? We've come to the end of the show. But there's one tale left to go. You're gonna laugh and say, oh no. It's time for the Rossifari poop story.
Okay. So I have worked with chimpanzees, and I think probably the grossest thing I've ever had to do is actually like wash it out of my hair, my face. It's probably not the most common or grossest thing, I guess. I'm sure, a lot of chimp keepers have probably had that experience, but still that's probably the grossest thing.
Is it from them flinging it, or do you just get it on you?
No, it's them flinging it at you. Yeah. Yeah, we had two chimpanzees that were at the exotic animal sanctuary that I managed in Indiana, and one of them was a poop thrower. And so, yeah, I had multiple times where I would go to the sink and have to wash my hair out. So that's probably the grossest. I have more gross parenting poop stories probably.
I think Elizabeth should do that. Mothering Wildlife should steal my poop story idea.
She should steal your poop story.
She should do human poop stories.
Yes.
That would be hilarious.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I think that would be.
That's so
That
funny.
would be a good one for her to steal from her. So yeah, chimp poop in my hair is probably the grossest thing.
That's a good one.
I've had to deal with. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, Jess, thank you so much for doing this.
Welcome.
It has been a blast.
Thank you.
So, y'all, immediately after doing this interview, I went back into the park, into Tanganyika, and recorded the videos that I did for the Tanganyika treasure hunt. And the first one of those, you may have noticed, featured the honey badgers that I was talking about in this episode. So if you haven't seen that, go check it out. But it was really funny because obviously I still didn't get to go in with them because they are honey badgers and that's not how that works. But right after talking about how they were my favorite animals at the park, despite not getting to have a special experience with them, I then immediately went and got to have a special experience with them because my life is ridiculous sometimes. So I want to take a moment to say thank you to Jess and to everyone at Tanganyika. What a just incredibly open and welcoming facility, and one that I can't wait to keep sharing with y'all over these next few months. And the funny thing is, even though I did 4 interviews there, one of which had 2 people, so 5 different guests. There are so many more people there that I just met doing the experiences and hanging out with animals and stuff that I want to go back and have more of them on. There was one keeper in particular named Kayana who just blew Zoe and I away, knowledge-wise, passion-wise, conservation messaging wise, all of the things. And so Kayana wasn't in this batch of episodes, but I wanted to give a special shout out to someone who really stood out as a very special person, even at a facility that was full of special people. And that's the thing, like, Tanganyika really goes all in on the guest experience thing, while of course taking care of their animals and the welfare and all of that. But like, I can't tell you how many times I was just wandering around and people would ask me, you know, oh, hey, do you, are you lost? Do you need something, whatever? And it wasn't even animal staff or people who knew who I was or whatever. It was like the staff of the cafe or of the gift shop or whatever. And it was just a really cool experience. So you'll be hearing more about that down the road. But until then, I'm going to get going. Before I do, though, I do want to take a moment to say thank you to all of my patrons, especially my Red Panda level patrons, Dr. Laura Schenk, Dr. Stephen Williamson, Barbara Bennett, Jenny Owens, Melissa Reed, Carrie Kirkpatrick, John Lewis, also here for stickers, and Kevin Williams. And I'd like to remind y'all that the word credits backwards is Steiderk. The Rossifari podcast is produced, hosted, and engineered by John Rossi. Editing and fact-checking by John and Dr. Zoe Rossi. Our theme song is Sevens by Nathan Burke, performed by Nathan and John. Interrupting John theme and additional voices by Taylor Isaac Gray. You can reach John directly on Instagram and Facebook at Rossifari or by email at rossifaripod@gmail.com. Rossifari is part of the Daydreamer Media Network. Now, stop listening to me and go visit a zoo.